All right, good morning. Here we go. Give it just a minute for this to settle out. All right. So let's get started here. Let's take a look at some stuff. A lot going on actually. We have crazy stuff in the news, Venezuela. Absolutely wild stuff going on. So, Trump's going after Venezuela. Now, what does this mean for the oil stocks? Since Trump's going after Venezuela, grabbing Maduro, obviously this is going to impact oil massively over the next several months. Potentially right now, but definitely over the next several months. Now we would expect crude oil prices to come down. So what's going to happen with this? Crude oil right now kind of teetering on a breakdown as it is. So honestly, this is probably, maybe we get a little chop, but we would expect crude oil prices to come down in the longer run, medium to long run. That would make a lot of sense to me. So we're going to keep an eye out for that. Now, what does that mean for the oil stocks like ExxonMobil, which is on the verge of a massive breakout? Well, this could break out because Exxon's going to be involved in processing this Venezuelan oil, and their profits are probably going to go up because they're going to have more business. So that would be my guess. Now, even if the crude oil prices go down, this would be my guess to what would happen here with XOM. Maybe we get a bit of a blow off top here. Maybe it gets ahead of itself. But man, that looks like a pretty insane looking breakout for XOM. And I wouldn't be surprised if this simply goes for a pretty massive run. With the Venezuela situation happening, we have oil is going to be obviously one of the major players, one of the major trades coming up here over the next several months at least, and possibly even into a longer period of time. So we definitely have to keep an eye on the Venezuela oil situation. I got some other plays that are interesting. Look at this gap up on XOM. So this is what I'm talking about. We're going to have a gap. Okay. Now let's think about this for a second. It seems like when there's about to be a generational run on a stock, it never goes straight up. It never happens right away. Never. And because of that, what's going to happen here is most likely, in my opinion, not financial advice ever, but probably what's going to happen is we're going to see this massive breakout level break. So let me just pop this horizontal level on there. Now that's the all-time high. I believe that's the all-time high. Let me check out the monthly chart just to double check that. I believe that's the case. Wow, what a chart. That is quite a chart right there. That looks like the most ridiculous bull flag I've ever seen. Right at the breakout, whatever this wick is, that doesn't even look real. So yeah, that is the all-time high right there. And we're going to be testing that if we haven't already. Let's pull back into the intraday for just a second. Now that's the level. Let me double check. I want to make sure I'm right here. 126.46. That looks like the level. So yeah, we've gapped over the breakout level. That's the level right there. The all-time high is gapped over. That's a big deal. But breakouts tend to not like gaps. It doesn't necessarily matter, but the gap wants to be filled. So probably we'll see a pullback today. And then we'll see what happens. Now there's two options of how this can play out over the next several months. Okay, everyone's excited because the breakout, oil, Venezuela, blah, 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 right? Now that's the problem. The obvious move is that this is going to run. But that's not how it plays out. Typically, not financial advice. But we got the gap. Now everyone's excited. And in my opinion, what's most likely to happen here, and I think there's two ways this could play out, but we're going to see the gap fade. It's going to fade everybody that's excited about this move right now and possibly pull back a decent amount. And we saw the same thing with TSM when we got the Taiwan Semiconductor deal to build out manufacturing in the US. And this is kind of similar, but maybe I don't think we're building out more oil processing plants in the US. I think we're going to be leveraging what we have. I guess we'll find out. But this is what happened with TSM. Let me go back to this one. Because right around this breakout area, okay, for TSM, that's when we got the deal to manufacture in the US. So Taiwan Semiconductor is going to build out manufacturing in the US. And guess what happened? We were teetering around the breakout level, and then we got a big pullback, which crushed everyone's dreams. And then we got the move later. Now that's a move. So that's probably how this is going to play out. If I had to guess, I think everyone's going to get shaken out. Everyone's excited, and they're going to get disappointed. Most likely, breakouts can get aggressive, so we'll keep tabs on it. But I think my first guess for what's going to happen here is something like this, where we see excitement around the breakout level. We have news, but then it gets absolutely decimated because it's basically just people excited about the breakout. Breakout doesn't happen. Everyone offloads. So then the real move happens, and then that's when the institutions come in and buy it up, and then it really gets moving. So as you can see, TSM is at all-time highs, and pretty impressive move there. So it had news, and then it takes some time for this stuff to actually play out. So people get excited, but that's the trick, and that's the trap with this kind of stuff. So we will see what happens with XOM. I think there's going to be a major play here, absolutely massive, incoming. my first gut feeling here is it's a short because it's going to be, people are too excited about it. So it tends to just do the opposite. But then after it settles out, and we'll see where it settles, then I think we get the real move. And now, so that was option number one. Option number two for this is we can see a quicker move happen. Now we have gapped overnight. So now what needs to happen is some sort of hold. We need to hold a dip somewhere. And then we need to see that continuation. So this could flag for a few days and then break out. That'd be a nice option. Maybe it pulls back, fills the gap, and then holds that dip, and then it curls back up. And then we see the move happen like that. That'd be another great option. But you can see when this thing decides to start running, it just goes. So typically, though, these gaps do get filled. Doesn't have to happen, but like this one right here, gapped up, eventually got filled. That's pretty typical. Another one right there. Gap down, got filled to the upside. So, yeah, we're going to make a big play on this. I think it's going to take some time, but, you know, I'll keep updates going for this, and we'll see how it plays out. There we go. So that's TSM, or XOM, and TSM. Now, small caps today. We like small caps as well. We do have VRME at the moment. Coming into the open here. We'll see what it does. You know, it's set up for a move. So we'll try it out. Verify me and token economy leader. Open World announces plan for strategic merger. All these junk stocks just have all kinds of news, all kinds of hype around them. So let me double check this on dilution tracker. 10 million float. That's nice. Historical dilution, we have a lot of that. Cash is weak, pretty weak cash position, so they're going to need to raise some cash soon. We have warrants at $4 from January 25. It's unlikely we're going to even see that. April warrants 2022, that's old, so it doesn't really matter. Convertibles at $1.15, but that's old as well. Nothing new here. Well, let's see here. There's so much. In ATM, March 25th. 15 million capacity. Again, old. Not really in play. January shelf, so they could do something with that at any time. So they do have potential dilution incoming. You never know, they're going to probably drop something new. Letter of intent to complete strategic merger. So there's a letter of intent. I wonder if that's binding. I don't think so. So they're just saying, yeah, maybe we're going to do this. We might do it. Maybe we'll do it. maybe there might be news. You know, if maybe there might be news, then maybe something will happen with the stock. So whatever. Yeah, we'll see how this one plays out. It's the most interesting one in pre-market for me right now, aside from the multi-day runners. So MNTS, also kind of interesting. MNTS. Had a split back here, reverse split into this pump and dump. Let's see here. Pump and dump, pump and dump, pump and dump. Okay. Multiple pump and dumps. Pump and dump. So what is it likely to do today? Guess we'll find out. We're not in this one yet. May or may not take it. I don't know. Not my favorite at the moment, but it is a potential. Yep. GRHS, another interesting one. Make sure all these are on my watch list. Okay, MNTS. We have ERME. And what was the other one? See, I don't like these cheapies. Don't really care. GRHS. GHG. Can't type this morning? Okay. We got it. Yeah, VRME, MNTS. Here we go. Okay, good enough. Top 3 on the watch. Right there. So we'll see how it plays out. MNTS is pretty low float. So real quick, let me talk about the multi-day runner. Ooh, Intel is continuing. I already sold my Intel swing. Did about 15% on it. Pretty good one. Long from back here. 36, 37 area. Sold into the gap up this morning. Super clean win. Here's the bell. Looking for the next swing. We got several others on too. SIDU is the top multi-day runner. It gapped overnight, and potentially this is done. Look at that beautiful daily chart. My God. My God, man. Pulling back into the trend line. It's one of those that I don't like shorting pullbacks into trend lines like that, but this is one that could just totally follow through. Could totally follow through. Best case though for me is a bounce into more of a 10 o'clock rollover. And the multi-days tend to be more sticky, and they tend to not want to follow through very easily. But on the right day, they do pretty well. So this might be the day. And it looks like the entry maybe here was in pre-market for this one after this little blow-off move into the short right there. So 65 million shares outstanding. Let me see what the real float is. Yeah, 65 million. So kind of on the higher end of the float range I prefer to trade. Because, yeah, higher floats tend to be more sticky again. More annoying. What a beautiful gap, though. Nice little pre-market blowout into, looks like, pretty clean rollover so far. It's just happening right into the open. And this is where things can get a little bit sketchy. So might see like a dip and rip type maneuver. And that'd be best case for me. The other thing it could do here is just simply waterfall out of the gate and never come back up. And then that's what creates those dip and rips, though, because you get a few waterfalls and then you get the dip and rips following up after that. So people get used to hitting those waterfall moves. And yeah, that's where you create the dip and rips because too many people jump in those. So it's just not easy. The play would be, though, short it over here in pre-market. Maybe potentially hit it out of the gate, but I don't like doing that. Of course, I do risk missing it because it could just waterfall. It has broken the trend. It is actually a trend break. Okay, Intel doing a little pop and drop move. Right around to where I sold it now. Nice morning spike. Pop and drop. That's probably the top for Intel. It wants to gap fill now. So the other small cap here is SOPA. Second red day. Pretty clean, actually. Low volume, though, so it makes it tough. But beautiful daily chart. I'm hoping this one holds up, but probably just going to fade. MNTS is squeezing a bit here, ripping into this morning spike. Pretty nice. Of course, we have VRME on. So far, that's just clean. Super clean. So far. DVLT, this is another small cap, multi-day run. Looks like it's got a nice morning clear out. Make sure this one's on watch too. DVLT. Saw some people swinging this one overnight. Pretty clean overnight trade. Check up on my other swings. We got Novo. Novo looking great. Yeah, we have this on from around 48, 49 area. Looking for that to follow through some more. K-View kind of petering out here. Volume's really dropping off on this. But it had that Trump news really getting tight though on the daily. Does look like it wants to do something. We'll let that one hang out, I guess, a bit longer. I don't really like how long it's taking to make the move though. Oracle. Beautiful. This is now my current largest swing. Wise Auto Tools. Let's go. Yeah, Oracle looking great. Again, nice flag on the daily. Pretty incredible looking move. Setting up here. Still setting up for something beautiful. I'm going to add some more to this. Just a little bit. Add to winners. So we're buying this in the flag over here. And this is my current largest position. It was Intel, which I just sold this morning. So now we have Oracle and Novo, which are both looking really good. Also Pfizer, not as excited about that one, but it is working pretty well so far. K-View and what was it? That might be it. I gotta open my other account up. Okay, let's take a look at our short right here. VMRE so far working out pretty good. We have to see if it fades though. We're not out of the water yet. Out of the water, is that the right phrase? Out of the woods? We're not out of the frying pan yet. MNTS, nice morning spike here. Lower float. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you. Getting back at it. So Sea-Doo, multi-day runner, it is just doing the waterfall on this trend break out of the gate here. Not my favorite. This is like my least favorite type of version of this setup. But it is working out. We'll see if VRME squeezes. So it's doing sort of a shallow dip into potential squeeze. We'll see what we get. We'll see what we get with that. Not really down enough to take profits on it. And, you know, got to sort of survive the squeeze if it tries to squeeze. which a lot of times they do. They try to, but a lot of times they can't even get close to actually squeezing. We'll see what it does. Especially after we had, what was that one on Friday? Let me see. We had one on Friday. Can't remember it. HistoricalPercentGainers.com though has it. Chow. CHOW. That was the one. So this is how that one played out. It had a nice gap. Little spike out of the open and then faded all day after that. So this is what I'm hoping for with VRME. And you can see it had this morning spike attempt and it was weak, but it did try to squeeze. And that's usually what happens. You get some sort of attempt at a squeeze and then it either does or it doesn't. You know, never know. Never really know how that's going to play out, but got to give it a chance, right? Here we go, pushed up to $1.05. Now it's deciding if it wants to keep trying or if it's going to totally fail or not. MNCS, what are we doing? Nice spike up to 11s. Looks okay, yeah. I think it's okay. And yeah, I did a big rant about the oil stuff. I'll post a video about that later. But I think there's a big play coming up on XOM. KVRME's trying to do more shenanigans. You know, you just gotta let it do its thing. If it squeezes, it squeezes. Then I cut. MNTS looks like a short. Not quite set up for me, but it's a potential short. Oracle looking good. Pfizer looking good. Lulu looking good. I don't have Lulu anymore. Intel sell was perfect because now it's doing a big pop and drop. So we got a perfect sell pretty much on Intel this morning. I could have waited for the morning spike to happen, but yeah, I missed out on maybe 50 cents a share there, but not too bad. We'll take the bulk of that move. And yeah, so we called out the gap fill move, so I maybe should have shorted that too. But yeah, that's what I was saying here. We got the gap. It wants to fill the gap now. So now, who knows what could happen? It's kind of a toss-up at this point, but I think the predictable part of the move is over. the predictable part is over, and we got a nice profit on it. So we're gonna be looking for another one. We do have several of others on already, so we'll see what Oracle does. You know, a lot of the stuff is trying to do open pop and drop type moves. Wow, look at Tesla. Big rip. I mean, this has been set up for a dip buy, especially after that big dip on Friday. Man, what a nice move. So that's like it's like a blow off top if you're shorting. You see that at the top for the dip buy, you see it at the bottom. And that's sort of the end of the move. And then it could set up for a nice predictable bounce, which we're seeing on Tesla right now. Let's see here. See, it even tried to bounce on Friday, but it couldn't, and it had one more ridiculous dip in it. Not the easiest for me to play, but I like to see that last dip there be aggressive and take out the lows. So that's where I try to get the entries. Now, if I was in it from, you know, this could turn into a swing trade, actually. Maybe I should try to get long on this today into some dips. We'll take a look. Maybe take some stabs into starting position. See how it holds up. I kind of think I'm kind of leaning towards Tesla pulling back towards 400 though in the longer term or medium term. But over the next several days, maybe we see a bounce. So that would be the play. VRME failing to squeeze. That's what we like to see. Still setting up though. It's holding the dip. Anything can happen still. It is holding a dip. MNTS. I mean, technically this is still shortable for me. Not my favorite. Not my favorite though. It's not up much. But it's got the pattern, you know, this is what I like to see. So if I was going to try it though, I'd probably try here, risk right around 1150. Yeah, these things tend to just chop and try to fake people out again and again and again until it eventually fades. Or it actually squeezes, which is, you know, maybe happens 10 to 20% of the time. It might actually squeeze. DVLT, nice. See, this is the concern with those pop and drop moves if you're short. it's grinding higher and higher. So it did a nice little pop, but now it's doing a secondary pop. So this is why I like to wait for entries. Looks like VRME is trying to come back up. Squeezing. We'll see if it's real or not. It's trying to do it. It might actually do it. It's Monday, you know, and things get hot on Monday. Kind of hoping that all the momentum bros are in MNTS instead, which is holding up really good. Looks like it could squeeze. I'm not in this one, but this one looks like it wants to rip too. We'll see if it squeezes. Pushing some decent volume. Nothing too crazy though. It is holding though. It's trying to go again. Looks like it's gonna do it, but we'll see if it's real. Does it have real follow through or not? This is what they like to do. They like to shake out the levels, fake everybody out, long and short. Can't play that game. So it's gotta squeeze for real before I stop. I can't tell you how many times I stop out at the dead top and end up being right. So we don't want to do that. Oh, MNTS is actually looking weak. Actually looking weak now. Hmm. All right, what's it gonna be? Ten a.m. Yep. Here we go. Up or down? It's gonna go up or down at this point. I can tell you that. So yeah, the big play is gonna be oil coming up. The whole Venezuela situation is wild. We have Maduro. We have the oil. And we need our companies to get involved. XOM needs to get in there. Extract, process. Okay, VRME coming up. MNTS is weak still. That's right. Ball was my other swing. That one's looking really good. UNH is another one. VRME is squeezing a bit. Again, we'll see if it's real or not. So far, it looks pretty legit. KVU. Bitcoin's bouncing back pretty strong. Wow. You know, this oil situation could be big for Bitcoin. All right, let's keep an eye on VRME. It's pushing another high. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna squeeze. Whoa. Still hard to tell for sure, but it's pushing some highs, pushing pre-market high. Yeah, it might do it. Looks like it's gonna do it. Testing 20. Yeah, it's holding up really well. Yeah, that's how it goes. Meanwhile, MNTS is fading beautifully. But we have a plan. We're going to stick to it. Ooh, there it goes. Speed up is happening. Not liking that. Like, it's probably going to get me. Most likely going to get me, it looks like. Might cut this one short here. Looks like we're trying to get a red candle. Man, I should have shorted Intel. Intel would have been a 6 short. All right, we got a red candle there. Let's see if we have follow through on that or not. At least it looks like the squeeze ended. Now it's got to hold another dip to continue squeezing if it can. Potentially, this is all it can do. Hopefully, MNTS dipped some. Decent dip there again, though. Not like a crazy fade or anything. Remains to be seen. Still, this one potentially could fade more, or it could still hold the dip here and come back up. VRME, another red minute candle. So again, we're gonna have to see if it wants to hold a dip or if it's just gonna roll over. Back to 19s. It needs to crack 20 pretty hard here. Here we go, back to 17. Failing my moving average. Testing it. Not really failed yet. Well, it needs to be topped out basically at this point for me to stay in the trade. Sixteens testing. Got to close under my moving average, so that's a good sign. At least at this point, our risk is lowered. So that's good. No max losses today. Back to 15, 14. Back to the 13 level. Now it's going to have to fade probably. It's going to take a while. Give it a few minutes here and see what happens. Looks like we got more runners popping up. TMDE. A classic. Oh my gosh. One of these runners that starts around the open. These can turn into all-day grinders. We've been seeing a lot of those. We've been seeing a bunch of these. Let's see. I bet I could find some here on historicalpercentgainers.com. There we go. The first one I pull up from Friday was very similar. Run it started near the open, nothing in pre-market, and then it was an all-day grind. So not a short. We don't short that. We don't short that. S dot, another one. Started a little bit later. Looks the same, yeah. Yeah, that's the look. S dot started later, same idea. That one actually did have a decent pullback, but not enough to really get excited about. INBS, very similar. This one started weak in pre-market and then it ran all day. So that's the move. That would be actually a decent long setup, not a short. This one started at the end of the day over here. Not a short. There's no winning on that short. And sometimes you get a pullback like this, but it's weak. Maybe 10%. It's pathetic. Another one right here. You know, it starts running after the open. And then all day grind fest. Had a little bit of a dip there. But that one did gap up and it turned into a multi-day runner. PRZO, again, weak pre-market move into all-day grind fest. So it's just, that's not the ones you want to short. Yeah, I mean, IMBS, perfect example. Again, another one. Eventually, it did crack towards the end of the day, but you got to survive this morning pop and then survive this, and then you get the fade eventually, and then it really fades in after hours, so you have to actually hold into after hours to capture that full move, which most people aren't going to do that, so really end up getting about 10% on it, which is just not worth it. Just not worth it. And this is just gross. But again, maybe 10% pullback on that. Not much of a pop there on that one. This is more like what I like to trade. Pre-market clear out. You know, EKSO again. Not much of a move in pre-market. It starts running after the open, and then it's just nothing. Not profitable at all to take that trade. Disgusting. This is kind of nice because you have an end of day clear out. So all right. My aggressive short algo took this one. Just on paper for now. Testing the strategy out. Looks kind of interesting. The float's up there, you know, so this one has a chance to fade. Let me double check the actual float. This is shares outstanding is 23 million. TMDE, we have 3.5 million float. Not bad. I just really don't like the micros on these, so we avoid those. But yeah, really these could be a potential long setup. Now this one was cheaper. Sub-dollar move. Now it is above $1, which is nice. But this one has the potential to just become an all-day grind. Let's check in on VRME. So VRME trying to hold up still. It's kind of a toss-up. Could roll over, it could keep going. We got the signal indicator over here on TOS for the short. So it's gonna have to decide. We'll have to let it play out. It'll need to chop around and we'll see what happens. Could still squeeze. I mean, odds are still pretty good for a fade. But we'll see what happens. It is trying to come back up. MNTS still weak. But all right, I think we're gonna call it there, guys. I'll put this update in Discord. We'll see what happens. It's still fighting me, so not sure what's gonna happen. It could chop around, it could fade, it could squeeze. It's a bit of a toss up. But I'll put the update in Discord later. Good luck, everybody. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Don't do anything too crazy out there. Also, check out Historical Percent Gainers for some free charting analysis of the recent runners. See you guys.